Welcome back, everyone, to TV5 News at 9. Joining us this morning is Vera Harrison, a Child Abuse Prevention Education Director. And we have Nate Sheets, International FASD Behavior Consultant and Trainer. Thank you so much for both of you being here this morning. How are you guys?
Good, thank you.
Very good. Glad to have you. And so today we are talking about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, or FASD. So Vera, let's start with you. Is there a safe amount of alcohol that you can drink during pregnancy?
No, there's no safe amount of alcohol to drink during pregnancy. During the 3 trimesters of pregnancy, the baby starts to develop as early as week 3. And drinking alcohol can risk damaging the baby's development. So no, there's no safe amount of alcohol.
All right, straight to the point. I like it. Thank you. Now, we're going to ask Nate, how does fetal alcohol spectrum disorder impact a child's development?
Well, so there's a lot of answers to that question, and one thing that's really important to realize is that people with an FASD can have a lot of strengths. They can be really good at certain types of thinking, which then allows them to hold down a job really well, certain types of jobs. They also have some cognitive strengths. They can talk well most of the time. And sometimes their strengths actually contribute to what we call an invisible disability. There's a lot of ideas that if you have a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, then it somehow is reflective on your face, but that's not true for the vast majority of people who do have a fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And so what we would expect to see in terms of some of the cognitive impacts of that and how it impacts a child's development is we're going to expect to see that they struggle with processing in the moment verbal language. So as we're having conversations, which are very quick, right? But our brains make it feel easy for most of us. People with fetal alcohol spectrum disorders are struggling with kind of that in the moment processing. They also often will struggle with memory and with what we call executive dysfunction. So their attention span, their impulse control, their ability to plan and problem solve, all of those can be impacted by an FASD.
Sounds good. Nate, either Nate or Vera, can you just tell us a little bit what the syndrome is, how it affects somebody?
Yeah, so it's very variable, because the question is, when does somebody who's pregnant drink, and how much do they drink, and for how long do they drink? And so there's a variety of ways that it can impact somebody, but essentially it's having a direct impact on neurological development, and in some cases in physical and physiological development as well. So there are literally gaps where there should be development that are not there because an unborn baby was exposed to alcohol when they were in utero.
All right. Now, Nate, secondly, where would you guide a caregiver to go for advice on helping or advocating for a child who may be diagnosed?
Well, there's a few things that the adults need to understand if they're going to find help, which is having an understanding of what is fetal alcohol spectrum disorder and how does it impact our kid, right? Given what we know about what we see from them, what they can do, it's really important that if you're a parent, you have an understanding of that. There's various websites you can go to. We're, of course, having our training, so that would be a good place to learn. And there's a really good book called Trying Differently Rather Than Harder by Diane Malvin, which is a good first place to start. But in order to really help somebody with an FASD, when they're a child especially, every adult needs to be on the same page. They need to know what FASD is, and especially when we have something like a challenging behavior, right, which we tend to respond to with punishment and more pressure on somebody. We need to understand what's going on in their brain and how might they actually be struggling right now versus maybe thinking that they're intentionally misbehaving. It's that lack of understanding from the adults in these kids' lives that's often contributing to stress and a lot of negative outcomes.
Now, Nate, if parents have children with FASD, is it hard for them to find community support?
Yeah, it's really hard. A lot of parents that I've talked to who come to me, they will say, we have tried looking, right? And they are often the parent coming into a situation, they're navigating a system like mental health or medical or a school system, and they are coming with more knowledge about fetal alcohol and about their child than any of the professionals there. And that's a stressor for a parent. When you're going to kind of be told, here's how you support your kid, and none of the professionals with many more years of experience and schooling than you have even basic understanding of how FASD impacts the brain, that's discouraging. And then another big element to the stress in the systems is, again, some of the symptoms that we see with FASD, it comes out as behavioral, right?
Yeah,
and so most systems, mental health, school, even home systems with parents, we tend to punish those behaviors. We're not looking at why are the behaviors happening with the right lens. And if we were to do that, we would most likely be able to find some proactive supports that keeps everybody more regulated and more successful.
All right, sounds good. Now, Vera, back to you. I wanted to ask you, you have a conference coming up. Can you just tell us a little bit about what it is and who it's serving and when and where?
Yes, we have a conference coming up. Nate will be our feature presenter at the conference. It's August 17th at 9 o'clock. If you're interested in registering, it's a free event, and you can go on our Facebook page, cancounsel.org, and there's a link for registration. You can also visit our website. That's cancounsel.org. But our Facebook page is at just Can Counsel. Or you can even give our office a call at 989-752-7226, and we can register you over the phone.
That sounds great. Vera, just real quick, what's the benefit of attending this type of conference?
I think education, just knowing about fetal alcohol spectrum disorder can definitely help us help our families that may be dealing with a child or even an adult that's suffering with this.
All right, great information, both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else you would like to add before we go?
Yes, I hope to see you.
Yeah, absolutely. Come on out. All right, I appreciate both of you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And for those of you at home, if you would like more information, just head over to the hot links section of WNEM.com.